just look at these congressional hearings and you go, how on earth is this man still on the political stage after the revelations that are being made? But the fact is this, and it may be a hard fact for you to swallow, he probably would still beat Joe Biden if Biden ran again.
Well, remember, Joe Biden beat him the first time handedly by 7 to 8 million votes and by almost 100 electoral votes. And the polling shows that even right now, before the latest Cassidy Hutchinson January 6th hearing, 58% of people across the spectrum want this man to be prosecuted for his crimes against the United States, for committing an insurrection. It's up to the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, to make that decision. But this is also where I put pressure on, top Democrats, establishment Democrats, who have the ability to, speak from the bully pulpit and put pressure on the AG's office that this is not a matter of political expediency or political awkwardness. This is a matter of saving our republic, saving our country from falling into fascism, from falling into minority rule. And those establishment Democrats who are staying silent, I think, are doing a big disservice, because we know, unfortunately, Republican politicians have fallen in hook, line, and sinker, with the exception of a few. It's up to Democratic leadership to not allow this to perpetuate. And I would encourage them to be loud, to be vocal, and to ensure that this person is held accountable for the sake of all people in America, regardless of political affiliation.
But Qasim Rashid, that Democratic leadership is clearly lacking in the form of President Biden. I mean, objectively, you have to be able to see that he looks like he's asleep at the wheel. That's not a political commentary. That's not a personal comment. It's just a fact. But quite aside from that, he has been at the top of the country, presiding over huge problems, which have got worse whilst he's been in power.
Well, I think there's certainly legitimate criticisms of President Biden. There's also legitimate praise, passing the infrastructure bill, extending the child tax credit. There were some good things that happened there as well. But I think this is really my message to the American people as a whole, is that, politics, a status quo hasn't worked. And in part, it hasn't worked because too many of us are not active enough in politics. Remember, despite record turnout in the 2020 election, the largest demographic of registered voters were people who didn't vote. 101 million Americans didn't vote. And I know it can sound horrifying to say you need to keep voting because every election is the most important one, but it's simply true. The great late John Lewis once said that democracy is not a state, it's an act. And it's critical that we activate, we mobilize, we organize, and starting at the grassroots level, we work our way up and make sure that we're electing people truly funded by we the people. They don't take corporate money, they don't take dark money, but they're funded by the people, and that's who they are responsible to. And so that's my message to my fellow Americans, that at the end of the day, pointing fingers is part of the, recognizing what the problem is, but know the power that we have in our hands, in our vote, in our knocking doors and making phone calls. That's what I would call people to do, to make sure that we are doing everything possible to uphold true justice and protect our democracy.